Hey guys, this is Noah's Gaming PC with a very unique and very good video here for you in store. We're going to show you how to build your own computer, kind of follow the steps. So just really quickly, there's about 7 to 8, basically 8 components to building a computer. We have the motherboard. This is a LGA 1155. This is going to be very specific to the CPU that you decide to put in your gaming rig or the PC that you're building. The CPU here is a Intel. I forget which one. It's, I think, 3rd generation. Slightly older, but this is how the CPU looks like. So we have covered 2 components so far. The CPU, the motherboard. Of course, we need RAM. We got 16 gigabytes of RAM there. DDR3. This is the fan that we're going to place on top. You can see this is the back plate. So the back plate is going to go right underneath the motherboard where those holes line up. And I'm going to show you guys how to do all this. So we've talked about 4 components there. We got the SSD or your storage device. We have the PSU. This is going to power it. Of course, we have the case right here, which I've opened up the both side panels already. The PSU is going to go down here in that compartment right there. We're going to wire everything. And last but not least, of course, the graphics card. We have a GT 960 with 4 gigabytes of RAM. And that's it, guys. This is the first part of the video showing you the 8 components that we just covered. And we're going to start building this piece by piece. I will start off with the motherboard and then applying the CPU into it. Apply some thermal. You're going to need some thermal paste. And I'm going to show you all that starting right now. Okay guys, so first things first, I gotta take off the plastic plate that comes on here on the motherboard. So we're gonna open up this. There's a little hinge here that you need to push down and move to the side. And that's gonna let us open this up. Hopefully you can see it more or less, kind of what I'm doing here. You lift this up and there's this protective thing here. First thing you wanna do when you are doing this is you gotta make sure that the little pins, this is an Intel socket, so the pins here, you got to inspect the pins and make sure there's no damaged pins. If you have damaged pins, that's when you want to return this product to where you bought it and get your money back, because it's probably not going to work. I've seen people that can fix pins. You can use a toothpick to kind of straighten it out, but that's probably a little bit too much work, especially if this is the first time you're building a computer. So there we go. So I will point out to you, there's a little triangle here in the bottom left corner. We're going to look for that symbol on the CPU itself. So here's the CPU that we're going to be using, which now I can tell you since I have it in my hands. It is a Intel Core i5-3570. So you see there is a triangle here. That triangle is going to line up perfectly with the triangle that's on the socket here on the motherboard. So I'm going to place it like so. And then hopefully you guys can see this. Let me see. Yeah, you guys should be able to see this. Go ahead and close this the way you found it. And let's go ahead and snap it in place. And there you go. We've installed the CPU. Next thing we're going to do is apply the back plate, which not all fans come with it. Some motherboards already have it included, but you're going to line this up. So let's go ahead and grab our motherboard. Be very careful. You don't want to electrostatic or fry any of your circuits. So make sure you're grounded. They sell some bracelets. I've done this for a while to where I've noticed I haven't really fried anything. So I'm kind of not taking a risk, or am taking a risk, but you know, I'm pretty careful with my electrostatic coming from my body. So put the back plate here, place that down, just checking the camera to see if you guys can see more or less. All right. And then we're going to grab our thermal paste. This is very affordable. It's like $7, $8, and you can apply several of this. You don't need to apply too much thermal paste. So I'm going to show you just a little dot like here in the center. Should be enough. Go ahead and place that there, and there we go. That should be enough. Some people are going to say you need to put a lot, or some people are going to say you're going to put less, but that's all depending on how you see it. But there you go. We've placed the thermal paste there. Now the next thing we want to do, we got to make sure the back plate aligns, the screws aligned. Oh, I actually forgot. This fan already comes with pre-applied thermal. So this is going to have more thermal than I really would want. So I'm going to actually take a little bit this off. Again, you can see this. I'm improvising just a little bit. There we go. I'm going to remove some of that thermal here because we no longer need it. I'll dish this away for the time being. And let's go ahead and just screw this. I'm not going to show you that part because if you know how to screw screws. You've done that before. That's pretty self-explanatory. This right here is going to go into the CPU fan. There's this one here. I'm not sure if you can really see it, but this one plugs in. This is a three holes connector here. Some of your motherboards will have 4, but you just use the 3. I'll show you in a minute. But basically, you're going to sit this on top of your CPU. And you're just going to go ahead and just tighten down the screws, okay? I'm not going to show you that part because it's pretty self-explanatory. Just screw this all the way down, and that's it for this part of the video. Okay, so I've finished screwing the 4 screws on the fan into the back plate, which is going to keep this all this motherboard all together. You can see that it's securely fastened. And now I wanted to show you a little bit of a close-up because it can be sometimes hard to find, but see, I got a shadow there, but I'm kind of pointing over here. This guy right here, it'll say, if you look closely, the letters are very small, but it says CPU fan, and you're going to connect that. There's 4 pins here, but this one only has 3, so that should be fine. So you can just plug that in. I'll show you now. Okay, guys, so you saw I just plugged it in. There should be 1 pin extra because this is meant for 4. Some CPU fans, it's kind of hard to see, but anyway, you plug it in there, and there's another one that's very similar to this, but this is going to be for your chassis. So the chassis here of your gaming PC or PC case has one of these as well. You're going to plug the other one into the motherboard that says system fan. So these are considered system fans. And now the next part is we're going to take our motherboard and we're going to put it right into the computer case itself. Actually, a good idea would be actually at this time to install the RAM. So we can actually do that right now. All right, sorry for the blurriness. There we are. So we got our RAM. I have 2 sticks here, 8 gigabytes each for a total of 16. You're going to plug it in here. You'll notice that in the RAM, there's a little thing in the middle, like a divider. So you got to make sure you insert this the right way. Otherwise, it's not going to go in. So let's go ahead and do that. If it doesn't fit in, it doesn't want to go in easily the first time, flip it around the other side. But again, just keep note that one side of this is a little bit, you see that piece right there is where the divider is. It's shorter than this other piece here. So just make sure you line it up accordingly with the RAM slots on your motherboard. Okay, guys. All right, so we finished installing the RAM. As you can see, you just push down on it. There's a little clip here that will secure it in place. But just really quickly to kind of give you an idea, this is going to be your 24-pin power supply. And on your power supply over here, you would eventually connect this. So you see this big one over here, that's the 24-pin here. Once we have the motherboard inside the case, we're going to install the PSU, the power supply unit, and then do all these connectors correspondingly. This right here is for your SSD. So we have a little, your motherboard should have came with a cable like this. So we're going to use this to connect our SSD, which I can't find right now. Where did I put it? It's somewhere around here. Oh, it's right here. So this cable, this SSD, you're going to connect with this cable and a power cable coming from the power supply. But I'm going to show you all those steps, guys. So next thing we got to do is figure out the holes. You'll see that the I/O, the back of the computer I/O input-output ports here need to go in such a way that it lines up with the holes that are going to come over here on the back side of the PC case. So make sure you do that. And let me figure out how many holes. This is a small motherboard, so I think the existing brackets here. There's some brackets over here. The brackets over here, again, it's hard to see. I'll show you it in a moment in a better view. Okay, so I've laid on the surface of the table, the PC case. You can kind of see how it is slanted or on its side. You're going to take your motherboard, and again, these are the brackets I'm talking about. If you have a bigger motherboard, you may need to add additional bracket. Your PC case would have come with some screws, and they would look like this. And you just kind of screw them in, and you got to make sure that the motherboard holes, these are the motherboard holes. This is how you're going to securely connect the motherboard to the PC case itself. You got to make sure that they line up. I have a wire in the way, so let me see if I can move that out of my way. Again, you're going to have a lot of patience. This is not an easy job. For me, it takes some hours to actually complete a computer, so Keep that in mind. You're gonna have to find some yourself some time. But here you go. You're gonna line up the brackets with the holes. This one's pretty simple. Fortunately, I just have to worry about 4 holes myself. And then you should have some screws that also came with the with your PC case. I have a hole because I build a lot of computers. I have this right here where I have a bunch of screws. Over time, you're gonna build up the screws and you're gonna understand which one is the one that you need to use to secure. But it looks like this. I'm gonna try to show it to you the best way I can. And it's not really, it's a little blurry here, but basically it's this screw here. It's like a flat screw. And you can go to Google and you see, there you go, I'll give you a little bit better view, but that's the one that we're gonna use to secure that. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. That's kind of a little boring, but I'm gonna show you it once I'm finished. Okay guys, so we finished installing the motherboard. It's securely fastened. I put the 4. You can see how the I/O. This needs to be facing this opening on the back of this PC case. That's how you're gonna get access to your ports, your Ethernet, your all these other headsets, USBs, monitor. So this is securely fastened. I did tell you that this particular case comes with one fan. One fan. You at least have to have one fan, in my opinion, to have adequate airflow. But this, similar to the CPU fan, you're gonna plug it into. It's a little hard to see, but you see that little what appears to be, is that 3? Oh, actually, this one's 3 as opposed to 4. So the system fan, it says system fan there. You're gonna plug that in, and that's the next step. All right, guys. So the next step is taking the PSU right here, which I've untangled, and we're going to start plugging in. This is the power supply, right? So you're gonna line it up with the screw hose over here. It goes in a certain way, so you just place that in there. Once we secure that in, we can start connecting stuff like. Now you'll see these cables came with the PC case itself. This is like this blue one is the USB 3.0. This is the SATA power. I think this is a red, green, blue RGB case. So these needs to be plugged in. Again, there should be a corresponding. You see right here, I'm programming the wires from the PSU, and I'm going to make this connection here. The SATA, they look like this. SATA receiver, I think the SATA female, and this is the SATA male. You're gonna go ahead and connect them together. Some of these other stuff like this says audio. You'll find that. You'll pay attention to the configuration here. There's holes there. You gotta find the corresponding spot on the motherboard. It's somewhere down here. But basically you're gonna start plugging stuff together, and I'm gonna try to show as much as I can of that. If you have any questions, let me note in the video comments. But for the most part, you're just going to start connecting the wires that come from the PC case. Connect them if there is an option to connect them on the motherboard. Not all motherboards would have this. This is another USB that is the USB that corresponds to the USBs at the front of the PC case. So you just connect that to the corresponding spot on the motherboard. And let me go ahead and secure the PSU first, and we can start plugging some stuff. Okay, so like I said, we finished installing the PSU. It's securely fastened with 4 screws in the back. Now we'll go ahead and start connecting things. All right, so what I like to do first is go ahead and plug the PSU main components, like the 24 pin main power to the appropriate spot. Again, I know that's a little dark, but it goes right there. It goes a certain way, so if it doesn't go in easily, you got to flip it around the other side. There's also a 12 volt thing. It's kind of hard. You can see that 4 little holes, black square with 4 miniature little holes. You're gonna find the power supply. Now this modern motherboards will use 8. This one's a little bit. This motherboard does not require so much power, so it uses 4. Those are the 2 main parts. I will also point out before we actually go. But this is a PCI Express that comes from the PSU. This is going to go to your graphics card. This graphics card that we'll be installing makes use of 6 pins. So you're going to definitely use, not all 8, but you can detach this last 2 here and just use the 6 over here. So that's what I'm about to do. And then you're going to start plugging in these cables that are associated to the PC case. You're going to start plugging in them into the motherboard. Let me go ahead and do all that stuff, and then I'll point out what I've done. But basically, orientation is important. They only go in a certain way. This right here where you see this colorful red, yellow, blue, black, green, red fin, this is your front panel of your PC case buttons to power on. So I'm going to show you how to connect that. You can also refer to the diagram. There's a diagram that comes with all the motherboards, and it kind of tells you which pins correspond to which, like power switch is there, reset. So let me go ahead and get advanced a little bit, and then I'll show you how it looks so far. Okay guys, so we've made some progress. We've connected the 24 pin there, as well as there again, optional 4, but actually optional 8, 12 volt, but this motherboard, like I explained earlier, has a 4 pin for the 12 volt here. And then I've gone ahead and connect the audio. Again, this cable comes from the PC case itself, and this is the USB that comes with the PC case itself, as well as the little blue, I'm not sure if you guys remember, this is the blue USB 3.0. We've connected that. So far so good. And then I've begun connecting the pins for the power supply. So the next one I'm going to do is this one here, which says power switch. So I'm going to plug it in right where it says, where you see the black, positive black and the negative black. It's on top of the blue there. So I'm going to go ahead and finish plugging these in. We're almost done with all the plugging in. So far so good. Okay, so we finished plugging everything for the most part. Now I'm going to show you the last parts that we're going to plug in. Again, you kind of look for plugs that look the same. Now this one here comes with the PC case. This is for ARAGP, ARG, red, green, blue. Okay, I'm just trying to say, but the motherboard doesn't have a plug for this. So this one we can just set aside. We don't need to worry about that cable. Not all the cables are you going to actually make use of. It all depends on your motherboard. We're going to go ahead and install the SSD. Kind of maybe somewhat self-explanatory. You're going to go ahead and plug this in accordingly. You see it only goes a certain way, so you got to make sure of the symbol here in the back. So you're going to plug that in. I think we plugged that in right. Let me just make sure. All right, cool. Now we're going to grab the SATA power from the PSU and plug it in as well. Again, there's better ways of cable managing, but you know, I want to get this computer up and running real quick. So you can spend all day, you can spend hours trying to make it look all pretty, but I just typically just stow this away. Now this is going to have to go to the motherboard because this is how it's going to communicate with your storage device. So we're going to go ahead and, again, you're probably not going to be able to see this, but I'm going to plug it in into the motherboard over here into one of those ports that I showed you last time. And there we go. We clicked it in. All right, cool. So we got the red cable plugged in. What else? Okay, yes. This case has some nice RGB lights. So we're going to plug this with the SATA. Let me see if I can actually make use of... Now, this is going to be for our graphics card. This is the PCI Express. You can't see it. There you are. And let's go ahead and plug this into our two SATAs here, and we should be good to go. In a moment, we're getting close to the part where we can actually power it on and see if we actually broke anything. Nah, you're not gonna break anything if you're careful enough. There we go. Let me just plug this in. Sorry, you're not able to see that. There we go. Okay, so you can kind of stow this stuff away. Just put it into like some of this space over here. And now I'm gonna show you how to install the video card, the graphics card. Okay guys, so let's go ahead and install the graphics card. Looking really excited to install this. I've tested this one before. I know it's going to do very well in Fortnite. But you can kind of see where the PCI Express is, that long little slot there. Corresponds to this right here where you're going to snap it in. Remember that there is a security thing here that you need to open up. So just move that to the side. And then we're going to move some of these cables out of the way. We're going to do some better cable management in a moment, but you're going to just go ahead and slot that inside there. One thing to note is that we're going to have to open up this over here because this is where our graphics card ports are going to come out of. So we got to make some space over here. So I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to show you that you need to actually connect it to the PCI Express coming from the PSU. And that cable, we actually have it over here. It's 8 because some graphic card need 8, but this one needs 6. So we're going to remove, like I told you, those two ponds that you can just slip away. And let's see how this looks. Okay guys, so we just finished installing the graphics card. Pretty self-explanatory. Just push it into the slots at the vertical. I attached 2 screws to secure this firmly. But we have the DPI or the HDMI or the VGA ports here, so that looks good. Next thing we got to do is actually plug in. And you can see I moved some of the cables because this stuff is going to get in the way, so I'm going to use some zip ties to just kind of organize this a little bit better. And especially this one of the fan. This one of the fan is going to get in the way. You can't see it. There we go. This one, we're going to kind of put these cables a little bit, like put them together so they're kind of in the way, and we can let better airflow happens. But I'm going to go ahead and plug this in. Let me show you how you do that. You just remove the 2 extra pins that you don't need, which is like this. Just move it out of the side. And then you're going to just plug this in the corresponding area, and that's pretty much it. We're very close to powering it up, and looking forward to seeing how this is going to perform across some different games. So just you got to push this down, and I'm recording by myself, so I got to put the camera down. Let me do this, and next part of this will be me. I already on the other side where you saw all the cables, I put the single black plates on. And now I'm going to put the glass plate here. I'm going to connect it to my monitor keyboard. If you don't have it already, one of the prerequisites before you do any of this is to get a Windows OS. I got Windows 10 on this USB. I'm going to link a video that shows you how to do this. I actually may make my own video, but basically you're going to plug it in here, and when you power it on, I'm going to show you all this, but it's going to boot into Windows and we can install the OS. Okay guys, so this is how basically you can see over here, I've tied the cables a little bit better so they're not in the way, they're not going to hit the fan. There is the GPU or the video card. I've gone ahead and closed this side of this, and now we're ready to just get this up and running. This glass here, tempered glass, is secured by these screws here, 4 of them on each side, and now we're going to power this up and see if we did something right or wrong. Remember, before we power it up, we got to connect the motherboard, the keyboard, the mouse, the monitor directly to the video card slot here, and then also this USB dongle here we're going to put here that has the Windows 10, and we're going to install it. Let's see how it goes, guys. Okay, so we've plugged everything up. We all pretty much should know how to do this. The keyboard, the mouse via USB, in Windows install, the HDMI to my monitor over there, and then a power supply. Let's go ahead and flip this on. And let's see how it lights up. Let me go ahead and hit the power button over here. There we go, it powered up. Now with these particular motherboards, let's see. Yeah, with these motherboards, it may turn off and on. Again, you see, it did it again, and then again, this is just characteristic to the LGA 1155 motherboards. And there we go. We got the RGB looking good so far. And we got this on the monitor. So look, everything's worked fine. It's already loading. You can see over here on the USB, we're having some activity here. This is the Windows 10 install. So it's booting from there. We have video feed. We have the keyboard and the mouse reacting to the input-output of the computer. And this is very normal, so we're going to go through the process of installing the Windows OS. So it looks good. Like I told you, this is red, green, blue, RGB. So if you push this button, not the power button, but then this button over here, you can start changing some of the colors. Let's go with, I guess, green or a rainbow. This is fine, and also there's colors over here too. This button over here changes the color over here for the USB as well. The USB ports here in the front of this, but it's a very nice case. It's a little bit on the bigger side, but we got the fan moving. You can see the fan moving, the back fan as well. Kind of hard to see it there. Yeah, it's moving, so we're good, guys. We got airflow, looks good. Perfect. So now we're gonna go ahead and install Windows OS here. So this is English, US, US. And let me move my mouse. We're gonna hit next here. We're gonna go ahead and click install here. And we're pretty much ready to start gaming on this once we finish installing the OS. I'm gonna be testing this with Fortnite because I'm a big Fortnite player myself. I don't have a product key. And and we just select what OS we want. This is Windows 10 Home. I'm going to go ahead with that first option. If you did want to get an activation key, you can find them cheap online for $14, $15, $16 and get Windows authenticated OS, but you can perfectly game and you don't need to activate Windows. So I'm going to go ahead and hit next. And next thing is going to say, yeah, the lawyers tell us this stuff. All right, yeah, whatever. Who reads that? I guess we should read it, but we don't have no time for nothing else. So there we go. It picked up the SSD that we installed, which is almost 512. It's advertised as 512 gigabytes, but it's actually 476. All right, so we're going to go ahead. Yeah, we want to install Windows on that. On the previous screen, you saw that I wanted to do my own install. You can have them do it yourself, but this is the steps that I would recommend. And there we go. We're installing. This can take anywhere between 5 to 10 minutes. Probably less than that. Less than 10 minutes. This is not too bad. And that's it, guys. Stay tuned. Okay, guys. It's almost done installing the copying the files for installation. 98%. 100%. This last process is very quickly. Had I let it connect it to the internet, it probably would install the updates. But that's okay. I'll do it when I first load into this computer for the first time. Create my own account. So there we go. We have 10 seconds. It's going to reboot. Go ahead and remove this USB. We no longer need it. Again, there's a video, a link that I show you that's somebody else that, or maybe I actually may end up making a video on how to create your own USB media. But there we go. It's rebooting. The computer's rebooting. Looks really nice. We can change again the colors. Let's keep that pink, I guess. And right now, it's now booting off of the SSD, our storage drive, our hard drive in there. And this is very typical. This is getting the device ready, so it's doing some initial first stuff. And at some point, it's going to get us to the part where we can actually go ahead and do the install our own, come up with our own username. I'm going to change the, you see, you can keep it all red. You can keep it solid red. If you like solid red, this should be pink. Or you can put rainbow color here. Let's change this to green. So yeah, really cool. It's not a bad case. It's a little bit on the bigger side, but it looks nice. It looks nice. It looks nice. I do sell other PC cases that have red, green, blue RGB fans. This one is simplistic in that sense, but I do like the LED strips here at the front. I like it. I like this case. So like the second time I'm using it, pretty easy to build in. But that's it, guys. We're still trying to get our computer ready. Windows is getting ready, so at some point, I think it's going to restart the computer. It restarts like a couple times, I think. And then at some point, it's going to load us into Windows. And it's going to say, hey, oh, you see, it's going to restart again. And there we go. It's resetting, all right? That's the BIOS, the piece of software that it lives off of the motherboard before we boot right into Windows. And there we are. It's going into Windows. On the initial Windows setup, if you haven't done an initial Windows setup before, it's pretty straightforward. You answer their questions. But overall, pretty happy with this build. Hopefully you learned how to build your own computer. Again, this is very hard for me because I have to do this all by myself, film it, build it. So I tried to give you guys the best information. The only Cortana, yay! Cortana's giving us some instructions here. But yeah, next time if I had a better setup, if I had a tripod, I could actually, show you everything, how to connect everything. But basically, maybe the most difficult part would be the connecting the cables, which I kind of not really showed you guys, other than I explained it to you. Hey, this cable is for the video card. This cable is for the high definition audio. You plug it into the motherboard. But basically, you'll want to study the ends of the cables and see where they would get plugged into the motherboard. I've done it for such a long time. There we are. Here's the first initial Windows setup. And that's it. This kind of concludes the video. You can go ahead and power this off. And if you're going to sell this to somebody else or you're going to give it to somebody else, all they do is power it back on and then they'll be brought to this screen and they can start answering the questions. But this is Noah's Gaming PCs. Focusing on gaming PCs. I'm going to be testing this one on Fortnite, the latest season. Excited about that. And that's it. Let me know if you have any questions. This is the 8 components that you need to build a computer. I show you step by step how to do it. And the best way to do that is just lose your fear of building computers. Try it yourself. Otherwise, you're always open to buying one of my computers, which I do this very quick enough as it is, and I enjoy it. I'm an expert. I've been doing it for decades now, and I have very good affordable prices. Check out my Jawa store, and that's it. Let's just take one last look at what we built today. Very happy with it. It's got a GTX 960 with 4 gigabytes of VRAM. We got RGB here on the side. The fans are working. It's a beautiful computer. It looks really nice. On the other side, it's just a plain black side to it. But it looks pretty nice. Pretty nice. Nice gaming rig. I'm going to price this out. But I think this is going to be somewhere around the 400. And you're going to be able to play games, AAA titles on low settings of 1080p. Any games. Fortnite, Minecraft, Roblox easily. This you can play even Cyberpunk on this. I may actually test Cyberpunk on this just to see how it works out. But that's it, guys. Let me know if you have any questions. God bless. Noah's Gaming PCs. Thank you for your attention. And let me know if you have any questions. Or if you want me to make more computer builds in the future. Thank you so much, guys.